Everybody's been through that cycle. You have, I have, everybody. Is you come in on Bitcoin and then you walk into the candy store and it's like, so this is the best thing I've ever seen. And before you know it, you're doing ridiculous things you should never be doing and having a lot of fun doing it, even knowing that it's crazy. Does Solana go up 10x in a year and you don't think there's enough juicy price action for you that you simply must leverage it? I'm just watching CNBC and it just looks like of an older, different age. It's like a world that doesn't exist anymore. Its daily viewing figures are less than you and I will get on this show. And yet the space still looks at it for some sort of validation. It's ridiculous. We did see institutional adoption, but it was like early, the true pipes weren't there. And now it's all there and they've all done the work on it and they all understand it. So, we've seen the work that, you've had Sandy on from Franklin Templeton. We've seen, obviously, the Fidelity team. These guys have been working throughout. People like Bitwise, Hunter Horsley, they've been out working all the way through the bear market, educating people, getting people in place, getting the right product, ramping up their teams.
Hey, Money Talkers, today we're kicking off our year-end crypto fiesta, unlocking the mysteries of Bitcoin's wild ride. Get ready to ride the roller coaster of crypto craziness. Subscribe, hit that like button, and let the fiesta begin. The true crypto pipes weren't there yet. Bitcoin's the ultimate treat to Solana skyrocket. Now, it's a different story. They've done the work. They've got the teams, and the space has evolved. Now, let's keep the party going as we dive into a discussion with the one and only Raoul Pal.
Another mantra that I have when you're in the middle of a bull market that has the macro behind it is it's all fucking noise. It's just noise. And so, has the main thesis changed? Is the work becoming less digital or more digital every day? More. Are investors who aren't exposed to it getting more interested in it? Yes. Is there capital flow coming in? Yes. Is the business cycle supportive? Are liquidity conditions supportive? Yes. In which everything else is noise. So it doesn't change anything. It actually gives it a higher probability of rising. And it gives it a higher probability of rising because you flushed out the leverage. Last year was the best advert you wanted for an ETF to launch. If you'd have launched the ETF in November 2022, you'd have raised $30 million and everyone would have been embarrassed.
Yeah, like
you raise it after Bitcoin's at 150% last year. That's pretty interesting to people. So now, are the institutions going to use the ETF? Mostly not. It's most of the RIAs. It's really for individual investors. So those pools of capital and the individuals, it makes it just super easy because they can just use their brokerage app or they can use their RIA because then they can get fees on top, so they're incentivized to do it. Will some pension funds do it? Yes, but they still really don't know how to deal with this asset class yet, and they want more regulatory clarity. I mean, it helps with an ETF, so we will see it. One of the headlines that will come across the tape in 2024 is some monster pension fund has taken a monster-sized position in Bitcoin. It's not just Bill Miller and Texas teachers. It'll be a bunch of others. We will see those headlines. They will be the pioneers to show the way to others that you could do it, much like Paul Tudor Jones was a pioneer in getting the hedge funds to start trading it because he was pretty early into getting on board with it. So, yeah, my thesis remains unchanged. So I'm mainly denominated in Solana. Second is ETH. And like you, I think ETH has a big catch-up as soon as this ETF is done. So that pause after the ETF is announced is, I think, the start of the ETH run. Because it's very simple. Let's say $1 billion of speculative capital went in to speculating on the Bitcoin ETF. Okay, once that news is out, you'll sell. Then what do? Oh, the ETH ETF, well, that's going to come by maybe June. So in which case that $1 billion goes into ETH. Now, what's interesting about ETH is it's a third of the size of Bitcoin currently. So if you put the same $1 billion into an asset that's a third of the size, it probably goes 3x more than Bitcoin did. And, ETH with the deflationary asset, the more activity, the less ETH there is around, and all of the staking means there's not a lot of liquid ETH around if this happens. So it could get very, very squeezy. So yeah, I think that. And maybe at some point it'll play a bit of catch up to Solana. I think Solana beats it all cycle, but there'll be legs when ETH does really well, much like Bitcoin started off out of the gates faster than anything. Then Solana caught up and exceeded it. I think ETH's chance is next.
Raoul Pal's here to drop some crypto wisdom bombs. In the middle of a bull market with macro backing, Raoul's mantra is, it's all just freaking noise. Is the world getting less digital? Nope, it's going digital every day. Are more investors getting interested? You bet. Is there capital flowing in? Absolutely. Raoul's cutting through the noise, and here's the kicker. A higher probability of crypto rising. Why? Because you've flushed out the leverage, and it's time for the crypto party to get even wilder. Now, let's talk AES. Last year was the ultimate trailer for an ETF launch. Launch it in November 2022, May. Launch it after Bitcoin's done a 150% dance? Now that's interesting. Institutions might not dive into the ETF pool, but the RAS, retail as a service, and individual investors. Oh, they're in for the crypto buffet. Will some pension funds join the party? Absolutely, once they figure out this crypto puzzle. Raoul predicts 2024 will bring headlines of monster pension funds taking monster-sized Bitcoin positions, a crypto extravaganza. Raoul's crypto portfolio is mainly Solana, the second is ETH, and guess what? He sees ETH catching up big time post-ETF. The $1 billion that fueled the Bitcoin ETF speculation. Raoul's betting it'll flow into ETH, and with Ethereum being a third of Bitcoin size, get ready for some crazy moves. Share your crypto predictions in the comments. Michael Saylor selling $216 million of MicroStrategy shares, plans to buy more Bitcoin. MicroStrategy's executive chairman, Michael Saylor, is selling $216 million of his company's shares, according to a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The pro-Bitcoin executive intends to use some of the proceeds to acquire additional Bitcoin for his personal holdings.
I'm not smart enough to do it. I start up an asset management company called Exponential Age Asset Management, XPAM, that actually invests in, it's a fund of hedge funds, so invests in digital asset hedge funds, so they go out and do the work and do it because that's their job. I'm just not smart enough to find it. One thing I do know is some tokens with new charts will do well. Who's that going to be? Is that going to be, we've seen it with Bonk, could it be with any of the others, a whole bunch of these, and that's a bit of a crapshoot who gets adoption. The one thing that for everybody else to bear in mind is that these cycles tend to play out the same way. So it tends to start with crypto spring, is Bitcoin dense. We then start transitioning later spring, and it seems to be always DeFi season. I don't know why, but DeFi season starts taking off. Then you start hitting alt season. When global liquidity starts increasing year on year, alt season hits and ETH starts outperforming Bitcoin. And then you get some of these ridiculous tail events. Also, NFTs lag. So we're kind of like we were beginning of last year in crypto, where some of the NFTs have found a base and are rallying. Others are still bleeding. Obviously, some of those will go to zero, obviously. But that NFT space, it really takes off when ETH goes to all-time highs. That's what happened last time around, and then it utterly explodes because everyone's got money to recycle. They buy trophy assets, everyone wants to buy a punk, and then off it goes again. So we've got that madness still to come. We've still got another leg, meme coin madness, dog coin madness comes later still. So that's in Q2 is kind of dog coin madness to come. So all of the psychology of the degens, that'll play out as normal, plus the sensible bets of the right layer ones.
It's time for a deep dive into the crypto ocean with Raoul Pal. He's not claiming to be the oracle, so he started Exponential Age Asset Management, a fund of hedge funds investing in digital assets. Because, he's not smart enough to find it all himself. But one thing Raoul does know, some tokens with new charts are destined for greatness. Which ones? Well, that's a bit of a crypto roulette, but here's the deal, these cycles play out the same way. Cryptos spring with Bitcoin, then the shift to DeFi season, alt season, when ETH steals the spotlight, and the madness of NFTs kicking in when ETH hits all-time highs. And don't forget the meme coin madness, the Dogecoin craziness coming in key 2. It's the psychology of the degens mixed with sensible bets on the right layer ones. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.